Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be about something called Badal. So Badal, just be there. Right, Badal is the last topic that the author of the book Ajurrumiyyah talks about. So this is Badal. Right, this is what we're talking about. Atf al-Bayan we're not going to do because he doesn't treat it as a type of tawabi. And some of the grammarians didn't actually consider this to be a tawabi. They actually treated it as a badal. This is part of badal. So badal, let's look at how badal works then. First of all, what we have to remember about badal is that badal is something that we use in English as well. And what we mean by it is, like when we have a sentence, and let's say I said something like this: I ate the fruit apple. I ate the fruit apple. So apple is what we call the badal. Badal. So the sentence had actually finished when you said I ate the fruit. But when you said apple, what you done here was you brought another word to kind of elaborate on something you already said before. So for instance, let's say if I had just said this. Let's get rid of that. So let's say if I had just said I ate the fruit. So there's lots and lots of fruits in the world. And by me saying apple, what's happened is now I've restricted the term fruit for apple. So now I'm just referring to apple. So this is what badal is. Badal is what we call a substitute. Okay, so substitute. It's like in football you have a substitute. Yeah, excellent. It's used to clarify. So this is something that's used time and time again in Arabic language, and it's used quite a lot in the Quran as well. So you're going to see it mentioned in the Quran. However, here all we want to focus on is what badal is. So badal is simply a substitute. That's all it is. Now, what kind of things can you use badal in? Yeah, so let me just make this a bit bigger. Okay, so badal can be used in several things. You can use badal in nouns, ism, and you can use badal in fi'ls. Right, you can use it between nouns and you can use it between verbs as well. So how do you use badal between nouns? Just like I've shown you. Right, so in Arabic, for instance, let's say if I said this. If I said كتبت الدرس. كتب rather. كتب or كتبت. Make that into كتبت. Yeah, so كتبت الدرس. Yeah, so كتبت, this is what we call the fi'l, the verb, plus the fa'il. Inside of it is the fa'il. And ad-dars is the maf'ul bihi. So we haven't done maf'ul bihi yet. Inshallah, next lesson we're going to start maf'ul bihi. Now, dars is just means lesson, really. So there's so many types of lessons out there, so many types of subjects a person can study. So what I do is after this word, I bring another word to clarify what specific dars is. So let's, for example, I say كتبت الدرس الفقه. I studied the dars al-fiqh. So this word is now called a badal. Notice this is an ism. Okay, so it's an ism in place of an ism. Ism in place of an ism. Okay, and you can get this with fi'ls as well. Okay, so for example, like if I say كتب قرأ زيد. Yeah, كتب قرأ زيد. So كتب قرأ زيد. So what happened over here was, I think I should write it in red. So كتب قرأ زيد. So the word قرأ over here, this is the badal. This is a badal in place of a fi'l. Yeah, a badal in place of a fi'l, and that fi'l is kataba. So I said kataba originally, that Zayd wrote kataba Zayd, but then I made a mistake, like, oh, sorry. No, he didn't write. He read. Yeah, so I made a slip of the tongue and I want to correct myself. So by bringing another word, you call this badal. Okay, so this can be done in nouns, right, over here, in nouns, and it can also be done in fi'ls, over here. Okay, now a little point to remember. This is known as the badal, and the word it's coming in exchange of is known as the mubdal minhu. Yeah, so imagine you have a football player that comes on. The football player that comes on is called the badal, the substitute. And the guy that goes off is known as the mubdal minhu. Yeah, with the injury, mubdal minhu, he goes off. So over here, if qara'a is the badal, what's the mubdal minhu? Yep, so the mubdal minhu is kataba. Mubdal minhu. Okay, so these are two examples of badal taking place between two words, an ism and a fi'l. That's the first thing that you've learnt. Second thing that you've learnt is that the badal has a mubdal minhu. So the word that's being substituted is called the badal, and the word that it's being substituted for, that word is called the mubdal minhu. So the guy that goes off the pitch is called the mubdal minhu. The guy that comes on the pitch is called the badal. Okay, and the third point that you need to remember is the function of badal with regards to grammar. So the function of badal with regards to grammar is whatever vowel or whatever state the mubdal minhu is in, it transfers onto the badal. So mubdal minhu in this case is mansoob. Okay, so in this case, in this particular case, for example, this is mansoob. So hence, al-fiqh is going to be mansoob as well. It's going to be in that nasab state. So here it takes a fatha. So ad-darsa al-fiqh. Katabtu ad-darsa al-fiqh. Okay, so mansoob. And sometimes it can be marfu. So if mubdal minhu was, for example, marfu, then fiqh would be marfu. And if, for example, dars was majrur or makhfud, al-fiqh would have been majrur or makhfud. Make sense, guys? Yeah. And over here, the same concept applies over here. But this is a fi'l, so it's a bit difficult to kind of see the state that a word is in when it comes to fi'ls. Okay, but this would be normally in the rafa state, marfu. Okay, so that's all so 3 things you have to remember about this. So number 1 is that badal, yeah, it comes for clarification. It can be done ism or fi'l. Number 2 is the badal always has a mubdal minhu. Okay, and number 3 is that the badal takes the same vowel or the same state as the mubdal minhu. Okay, so that's the first thing that you have to remember, and this is why it's called a tawabi'. Remember we said tawabi', copycat vowels? This is why badal is a copycat vowel, because it copies the vowel of the mubdal minhu. Okay, right, let's move on to the next part then. So now, the types of badal with regards is an ism and a fi'l. Okay, you've learned that. The next is the different types of badal with regards to the quantity. Yeah. So, for example, like this is divided into 4 types. Draw a line there. Right. So this is divided into 4 types. So you have 4 types of badal. So I'll write it in this order. Number 1, badal, what we call badal kull. Badal kull. Okay, badal kull. Number 2, badal kull, or rather badal ba'd kull. Number 3, badal ishtimal. And number 4, badal ghalat. So what does all of this mean then? So this simply means this. Let's say, for example, I had a sentence. Let's say I said this. I said قرأت الكتاب القرآن. الكتاب القرآن. What's the badal here? I read the kitab, the Quran. What's the badal? The badal is the word Quran. This type of badal, if I was to say to you, what's the relationship between book and Quran? Is the Quran the entire book, or is the Quran referring to part of the book? What is it referring to? So you would say to me, this is it's the entire book. Yeah, so in other words, the word Quran applies to the entirety of the word book. Yeah, it applies to all of it. This is called kul in place of kul. Yeah, so the Quran is literally the entire book. So I read the book. What do you mean? I read the Quran. قرأت الكتاب القرآن. Sometimes, however, what tends to happen is that if I said قرأت الكتاب, I read the book. Okay, so I read the book. نصفه. Now the word nisfahu means half of it. Okay, so nisfahu is the badal. Right, so that's the badal. And al-kitab is the mubdal minhu. However, when I say half of the book, that's a portion of it. So what I've done here is I've brought another word which is a portion of the entirety of the mubdal minhu. So qara'tu al-kitab. I read the book. How much of the book did you read? Nisfahu, or half of it. So this is what you call badal al-ba'd an al-kull. So nisf is part and kitab is kull. So I didn't read all the book, I read half of it. So this sentence now, this second one, right, this is used to tell the person that you're speaking to of how much of the book you read. The first one is to tell you what is the book. Yeah, the first one is to tell you what is the book. And the second one is to tell you how much of the book did you read. Yeah, and the third, so the third is called ishtimal. Right, ishtimal. For example, like uhibbu, I love Zayd. Uhibbu Zaydan. I love Zayd. شجاعته. شجاعته. I love Zayd. What do I love about Zayd? Do I love Zayd as in I love his body? What do I love about it? So I say I love Zayd's courage, his courage. So courage is not all of Zayd. It's not kull. Like from head to toe, Zayd is not courage. Courage just lies in a part of Zayd. Nor is it like physically a part of Zayd. But it's something which Zayd is made up of. Zayd consists of courage. So ishtimal means consist. So in other words, ishtimal is where the badal is found, is an ingredient, is found inside of the mubdal minhu. So it's not physically a part of it, but it's found inside of it. It's associated to it, you can say. It's another good word. Associated to the mubdal minhu. Okay. So that's the third type. So the first type, let's look at the first type. Qara'tu al-kitab al-Quran. I read the book. Someone asks you, excuse me brother, which book? You say al-Quran. The second, Qara'tu al-kitab. I read the book. Someone asks you, how much of the book? So you say nisfahu. The third one, uhibbu Zaydan. I love Zayd. What do you mean you love Zayd? Like, do you love him head to toe? Do you love part of him? Do you love something that he consists of? yes, I love his courage. Okay, so أحب زيدا شجاعته. Again, notice what we're doing. The same vowel, we're crossing it over. The same state. And finally, غلط, بدل الغلط. For example, I say this. If I say أكلت الخبز. أكلت الخبز. I ate bread. Okay, I ate bread. So then what I do is I say أكلت الخبز. Oh, sorry. الأرز. So al-aruz, this word, rice. I was meant to say rice, but it just slipped off my tongue. I said bread. It's called ghalat. Ghalat means when you make a mistake. So the word I made a mistake with was khubz. That was the mistake that I made. So I want to rectify myself now. And so I say al-aruz quickly. Yeah, so in English, we say things like, someone says to you, the other day, I saw Zaid on Monday. Tuesday. So that, Tuesday. That's called badal ghalat. So the Arabs don't do that. The Arabs will just quickly bring another word to replace it. So these are the 4 types of badals that you get. So, okay, let's repeat them again. So if I want to ask to clarify something, what do we call it? We call it badal kul. If I want to ask how much of it, then we call it badal ba'd. Yeah, number 2. If I want to ask regarding a certain thing that the person or the object is made up of, it's called ishtimal. And number 4, if I want to correct myself quickly, I call it badal ghalat. So these are the 4 types of badal that you get. That's all you have to remember for now. Yeah, 4 types of badal. Let's do a few more examples. Let me do an example and then I'll test you guys, because I think you guys like tests. Yeah. So inshallah, you guys like tests? I'll give you some tests, inshallah. All right. So I'll give you an example and then you just tell me what kind of badal it belongs to. Okay. Okay. All right. حفظت زيدا علمه. I memorized Zaid his knowledge. Okay, you quickly tell me, out of the 4 types, which one is it? What's the association between ilm, knowledge, and between Zaid? حفظت زيدا علمه. So is it kul? Is ilm all of Zaid? Is it part of Zaid? Yeah, so ilm is ishtimal. Yeah, ishtimal. It consists, Zaid consists, so he's not physically part of Zaid. It consists, Zaid consists of ilm. Okay, so this is ishtimal. Okay, let's have another go then. Let's see. رأيت السيارة بابه. So بابه, I saw the car, its door. I saw the car, its door. So its door, what's the association between door and a car? Yeah, so what's the link between the two? Is the door exactly the same as the car? Are they both synonymous to same things? In that case, kul. Or is it part of it? Yeah, as in is a door like part of the car? Or number 3, is it ishtimal? Yeah, is the car consisting of like a concept or something abstract? Remember, ishtimal is usually abstract. Yeah, abstract. Okay, so this is part of it. Excellent. And finally, let's do one more, then we'll look at the Quran, inshallah. Okay, what if I say this? ضربت الأسد القط. I hit the lion, the cat. So what would you make that? Is it a kul? Is it a juz? Ba'd? Is it what would you? Okay, so you're saying ghalat, yeah? So okay, asad. I was supposed to say cat, but it slipped off my tongue, and I said asad. Someone could possibly say the qit. The qit might be, you know, part of it, but then that wouldn't make sense. Yeah, so it has to be ghalat. Okay, it's a mistake, because cat cannot be part of lion. Don't make sense. Yes, lion can be part of cat, as in cat family. So lion can be like, cat can be the umbrella, and then underneath that you get different types of, you know, cat family. All right, so that's basically what this is all about. So let's look at the book then. So okay, so if you look at the book, it says Bab al-Badal, the chapter of Badal. إذا أبدل اسم من اسم, when a noun, ism, is exchanged or substituted min ismin, from another noun. أو فعل من فعل, or a verb is substituted with another fi'l. Then تبعه في جميع إعرابه. تبعه. So tabi'ah, the file of tabi'ah goes back to the badal. The badal will follow it, will follow the mubdal minhu. The who goes back to mubdal minhu. في جميع إعرابه, in all of its i'rabs, in all of its states of vowels. وهو على أربعة أقسام, and it, meaning the badal, huwa goes back to badal. Huwa, it, is ala, upon or according to, أربعة أقسام, 4 types. Yeah, أربعة أقسام, 4 types. So badal الشيء من الشيء, the badal of something in exchange for something. This is what we call badal al-kul min al-kul. So you can put that down. Okay, so badal of shay min shay. Number 2, وبدل البعض من الكل, the badal of ba'd or juz, a physical portion from the entirety. Like a wing is part of a bird. A foot is part of a human. A finger is part of the hand. وبدل الاشتمال, and badal of consisting. Yeah, something consisting, something being made up of, ishtimal. And this is usually abstract. وبدل الغلط, and badal of ghalat. Badal al-ghalat means badal which is a mistake. So in other words, the mubdal minhu is the mistake. The badal itself is not the mistake, like I showed you in the drawing. نحو قولك, or you can say نحو قولك, like you say. نحو قولك means like you say. قام زيد, Zayd stood up. Who is Zayd? أخوك. So what is this an example of? أخوك, your brother. Zayd stood up, your brother. So what is that? Is that kul? Is أخوك, your brother? Your brother, is he Zayd and Zayd your brother? Or is أخوك part of Zayd, like half of Zayd or a quarter of Zayd? Or is he something, an abstract concept of Zayd? Or is he a mistake? Yeah, so in this example, what would you treat أخوك as? So أخوك would be treated as kul in this case. Yeah, because your brother and Zayd are equal. They're both the same thing. Okay, next. وأكلت الرغيف ثلثه. أكلت الرغيف ثلثه. So I ate الرغيف, the bread. ثلثه, a third of it. Okay, I ate the bread. How much of the bread did you eat? I ate a third of it. I didn't eat all of it. So again, this word ثلثه, what kind of a badal is this? Is this a kul? Is a third all of raghif? Is it kul? Is it a fraction of it, physical fraction? Is it made up of it, abstract concept? Or is it ghalat? Is it a wrong mistake? So again, in this case, what would you say? You would say this is a part of it. So badal ba'd. وَنَفَعَنِي زَيْدٌ إِلْمُهُ. نَفَعَنِي زَيْدٌ إِلْمُهُ. Zayd benefited me. Nafa'a is fi'l madi, past. And ni, this is the maf'ul bihi. Benefited me. What benefited me? Zayd. Zayd benefited me. Ilmuhu, his knowledge. So again, his knowledge. Is his knowledge all of Zayd? Is it physically part of Zayd? Or is it a concept, abstract concept, associated to Zayd? Something associated to Zayd. So in this case, you would say this is badal ishtimal, because knowledge is part of him. It's not like you can't physically touch the knowledge. And finally, رَأَيْتُ زَيْدًا الْفَرَسَ. I saw Zayd, the horse. I saw Zayd, the horse. So the horse, what kind of a badal is this? Is it kul? Is the horse and Zayd exactly the same thing? Yeah, the horse, is he Zayd? Is he Zayd the horse? So if you got a friend who is a horse and you call him Zayd, yeah, then it's obviously going to be kul. But in this case, normally you don't have a friend called Zayd, right? And you shouldn't have a friend called Zayd and call him horse as well. Not very nice. So, رَأَيْتُ زَيْدًا الْفَرَسِ. I saw Zayd, al-faras, the horse. So notice all of these, they take the same. Akhuka, this is the asma al-khamsa, or asma sitta as we call it. And this is in the rafa state, Zayd in the rafa state. Thuluthahu, rafa state, nasab state, raghif, nasab state. Zaydun, rafa state, so ilmuhu is in the rafa state. Ra'aytu Zaydan al-faras. Okay, like that. Aradta, so in other words, this last example he's explaining it further in detail. So he says that aradta an taqul, what you wanted. Aradta is from fi'l madi, past. Okay, so past. Aradta, you wanted, you intended. Arada, aradu, aradat, aradata, aradna, aradta. You wanted, in other words, you wanted to say, an taqul, to say, Ra'aytu al-farasa, I saw al-faras, the horse. Faghalitta. So what happened? You made a mistake. You erred. فَأَبْدَلْتَ زَيْدًا minhu. So you exchanged Zayd in place of faras. So you were supposed to say Ra'aytu, you're supposed to cut out Zayd, you're supposed to say Ra'aytu al-faras. Now because you didn't say that, you made a mistake, your tongue slipped, you said Zayd, and so you quickly rectified yourself and you said Ra'aytu Zaydan al-faras. Everyone understand that? Now, just one little point I'm just going to point out here. He hasn't mentioned it, but I'll just give you a little pointer here. You know, when it comes to badal ba'd and badal ishtimal, then the grammarians say that the badal ishtimal and the badal ba'd must have a damir that goes back to the mubdal minhu. Yeah, so in other words, let me show you on here. It's a bit more clear on here. So you see these two over here, these two, right? In these two, you have to have a damir like over here. You have to have a damir that goes back to the mubdal minhu. Whether that the damir is explicitly in the sentence or it's assumed, there has to be that. You don't have to have it for the other two. The other two, number 1, number 4, do not need it. Okay, but for these two, you have to have it that go back to that. Okay, makes sense, guys? Okay, let me try and see if I can pull up some examples for you guys. Okay. Okay, let me show you a few examples from the Quran. Okay, right. So, for instance, in the Quran, Allah says, "Inna للمتقين مفازا. إن للمتقين مفازا. مفازا. So this is what we call, this is the ism of inna. Okay, and it's mansoob, and inshallah we're going to learn about that as we go through the book. So Allah, after this, he brings another word. What does he say? Hadaiqa. Hadaiqa. Wa a'naba. It goes on. So this is the badal of mafaza. So what does Allah say? Allah says, indeed, for the people of taqwa, there is great success. Mafaz. Yeah, great success. What's that great success? Ya Allah, can you clarify it for us? Allah clarifies it. Hadaiqa. Beautiful gardens. Yeah. Eye-watering gardens. Yeah, so hadaiq. There's going to be hadaiq. Wa a'nab. Wa a'naba. Yeah, and then it goes on. So these words, wa kawa'iba, atraba, wa ka'san. So these words are all badals now. So hadaiq means gardens, a'nab means grapes, kawa'iba means women who are going to be, beautiful women of Jannah. So all of these are badals of mafaz. Some of these badals are badal ba'd. Yeah. So that success, is the success a garden? No. It's part of it. It's part. So hadaiq, this is badal ba'd. And grapes. How is grapes associated to success? So it's ba'd of it. Yeah, so this is ba'd. And a'nab is ba'd. And beautiful women is ba'd. Yeah, etc. So these are badal ba'd. And notice, it takes the same state. By the way, before you ask why is this a single vowel, this is called ghair munsarif. Okay, ghair munsarif. Alright, and I mentioned that to you guys before. So that's an example from the Quran. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. Okay, let's look for another example. Okay, so another example. We'll do one more example. يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام. So يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام. They ask you regarding. Yeah, they can come without damir. Not without damir. They've got damirs. These hadaiqa wa a'naba. Yeah, that's a good question. That is. So the answer to that is that the damir is hidden inside of it. It's assumed. Yeah. So mafaza hadaiqa, ay hadaiqahu. So there maybe like a damir hidden there. Yeah, damir hidden. Or it's also possible to even make these kul as well. Yeah, so kul, the success is the hadaiq. Yeah, just like Allah says, a person will get Jannah. Yeah, so that's success. So then you can treat it as kul. But if you treat it as bad, you assume there's like something hidden there. Yeah. So the believers will have success. What's that success? Hadaiqahu. It's the gardens of success. Yeah. The grapes of success. Like that. Okay. يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه. So here, they ask you regarding the holy months, the sacred months. قتال فيه. So قتال فيه, this is what we call badal. So again, what kind of badal is this? Is this a badal of kul? Is this a badal of ba'd? Is this part of it? Yeah. What kind of a badal is this? So in this case, what they're asking is that they were asking the Prophet ﷺ, are we allowed to fight in the 4 holy months in the year? Yes, there's 4 holy months in the Arab calendar. So are we allowed to fight in there? So Qital, fighting. What's fighting got to do with holy months? Is it all of the holy months? Is it part of the holy months? Is it ishtimal? So in this case, this would be ishtimal. Yeah, ishtimal. So in other words, this is associated. Ishtimal. So fighting is a concept. Although you see people fighting, but it's a concept itself. The fighting is. Yeah, it's a concept. So it's ishtimal. So no, it's not all of it, because the month you know when you say all, it's like you can replace the word and use the word Shahrul Haram for Qitalin fi. You can't do that, because the Arabs call the holy months are different from what is fighting. Fighting and holy months have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, physically. Yeah, so it's ishtimal. Yeah, so Qitalin fi, this is what we call badal ishtimal. Okay, so badal ishtimal. Okay, shall I do any more? Okay, yeah, that's it, I think. Yeah, that's it. So let's have a look at the Quran, inshallah, and see if we can find anything in there. Okay, so here you have Surah Al-Fatiha, if you can see it. So Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat Al-Mustaqim, guide us to the straight path. Yeah, As-Sirat Al-Mustaqim. And then it says Sirat Al-Ladhina An'amta Alayhim. So Sirat Al-Ladhina An'amta Alayhim, guide us to the straight path, the path of those who you have favored upon. So what's the link between the straight path and the path of those Allah has favored upon? Are they two of the same thing? Is it badal kul of kul? Or is the path that he favored, of those he favored, part of Sirat al-Mustaqim? Yeah. Or is it a concept? So in this case, we would say this is badal kul. The Sirat al-Mustaqim is the same path that those people that Allah had favored. Yeah, so this is Sirat al-Ladhina Amta. This is badal kul. Okay, badal kul. Okay, so that's badal kul this. And that's it. Okay, any questions, guys? All right, so tawabi, there's 4 types that he's mentioned. We did the 4th type today, the badal, and this is simply bringing a substitute word in place of another word. This can be done between isms. This can be done between fi'ls. It can even be done between fi'ls and isms as well. Yeah. And there's 4 types. So badal kul of kul, like qara'tul kitab al-Qur'ana. Badal ba'd of kul, qara'tul kitaba nisfahu. Badal ishtimal, uhibbu zaydan shaja'atahu. And we said these 2 require a damir either present there or something hidden, a damir hidden there. And ghalat, number 4, is where you make a mistake. So we mentioned a few examples of this as well. Alhamdulillah. Any questions, guys? Can we get a hold of this book online, ustadh? Yeah, you can get a hold of this book online. If you just Google Ajurrumiyyah, you should be able to get it, inshallah. Yeah, if you write down Ajurrumiyyah, inshallah, or maybe someone can just put in the link for the brother. Any other questions, guys? No? Okay, Jazakumullah khair, guys. And hopefully see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.